The crystalline towers of Kaleth Station shattered like glass under the plasma bombardment. Sevara pressed her four-fingered hands against the observation window, watching her world die. Outside, in the black void of space, 30 Vrex warships circled like predators, their dark hulls absorbing the light of distant stars. Another explosion rocked the station. Emergency alarms screamed through the corridors. Severa's species, the Kaleth, had never known war like this. For 3,000 years they had explored the stars, traded with other peaceful civilizations, and built monuments to knowledge. Their ships were elegant things, designed for beauty and efficiency. The Vrex had torn through them in hours. Council leader, the eastern sector has fallen. The voice belonged to Navir, her military advisor. His scales had turned pale with fear, a biological response his people could not control. They are targeting the evacuation ships. Sevara felt her heart sink. The Vrex were not just conquering. They were sending a message. She had seen the recordings from other systems that fell before them. The Vrex Dominion did not accept surrender. They broke civilizations completely, leaving nothing but obedient servants and mass graves. How many ships escaped? She asked. 47 transports made it through the jump gate, but Council leader, they shot down the civilian carrier Morning Hope. There were 6,000 younglings aboard. The words hit Sevara like a physical blow. Younglings, children. The Kaleth had shared their genetic material with 17 other species in the coalition. Those children represented a dozen worlds, dozens of cultures. Gone. Erased in seconds by weapons that turned matter into superheated plasma. She made her decision. Open the deep space transmission array. Every channel. Every frequency. Navir's eyes widened. Council leader, that will drain our remaining power. We will not be able to maintain shields. We are dead already, Sevara said quietly. But perhaps someone will hear us. Perhaps someone will care. The transmission array activated, drawing power from the station's dying core. Sevara stood before the recorder, knowing these might be her last words. She spoke in Galactic Common, the trade language understood across 70 star systems. This is Council Leader Sevara of the Kaleth Coalition. We are under attack by the Vrex Dominion. Our defenses have fallen. Our people are dying. If anyone receives this message, please help us. The Vrex are killing our children. They are burning our worlds. If there is anyone out there with the strength to stand against them, we beg you, help us. She ended the transmission. The lights flickered as the last of their power drained away. Through the window she could see Vrex fighters moving toward the station. They would board soon. She had perhaps 10 minutes to live. The message raced outward at faster than light speed, carried by quantum relay stations across the galaxy. It reached trading posts, research facilities, and military outposts. Everywhere it arrived, the response was the same. Silence. Fear. The Vrex Dominion had crushed 43 civilizations in the past century. No one dared oppose them, except in one small sector on the edge of galactic space, where a species called humans had only recently developed faster-than-light travel. Commander Zhang sat in the command center of Citadel 7, Earth's orbital defense station, when the distress call arrived. He was drinking coffee, reviewing reports about a mining dispute near Jupiter's moons. The work was boring but necessary. Humanity had been traveling between stars for only 50 years. They were still learning the rules of galactic civilization. The communications officer, Lieutenant Park, turned from her console with a confused expression. Sir, we are receiving an emergency transmission. It is not from any human colony. Zhang set down his coffee. Put it through. The holographic display activated, showing a tall, slender being with iridescent scales and large, dark eyes. She looked terrified. Zhang listened to her message 3 times, studying the background footage. He saw ships exploding. He saw beings like Sevara running through corridors filled with smoke. He saw a transport vessel, marked with symbols that clearly indicated civilians torn apart by weapons fire. Get me Admiral Okonkwo, Zhang said, and prepare a data packet for Earth Command. Mark it urgent. Within 2 hours, the message reached the United Nations Military Council in Geneva. Within 4 hours, it had been analyzed by every major government on Earth. The debate began immediately. This is not our sector, argued the European Union representative. We have no treaty obligations to these beings. We have never even met them. They are dying, countered the African Alliance delegate. They asked for help. Admiral Patricia Okonkwo sat at the head of the table watching the footage again. She was a tall woman with gray hair and scars on her hands from the Unification Wars. When Earth's nations had finally stopped fighting each other, she had seen war. She understood what happened when the strong preyed on the weak without consequence. She saw the transport ship explode again on the screen. 6,000 children. "Prep the Third Fleet," she said quietly. "We are going in." "Admiral, we do not know anything about this enemy," someone protested. "We could be starting a war we cannot win." Okonkwo looked at them with hard eyes. "They are killing children. I have seen what happens when evil goes unopposed. We have the strength to respond. So we will." She stood, ending the debate with her presence. "We leave in 12 hours. Anyone who wants to argue can do it after we save whoever is left." In the Calith system, Sivara felt the station shudder as Vrek's boarding craft attached to the hull. She could hear cutting tools beginning to slice through the metal doors. She closed her eyes, whispering a prayer to the long stars, asking them to guide her people to safety in whatever existence came after death. She did not know that 53 light-years away, humanity had just declared war on the Vrek's dominion. She did not know that help was coming. She only knew that she had tried, and that would have to be enough. The Third Fleet cut through the fabric of space like a knife through water. 57 ships, ranging from massive carriers to sleek destroyers, pushed their faster-than-light drives beyond recommended limits. The journey should have taken 2 weeks. Admiral Okonkwo had given them 9 days. On the bridge of the carrier Indomitable, Commander Zhang monitored the engineering reports with growing concern. The drive cores were running at 120% capacity. The ship's frame creaked under the stress. But they would make it. Humans had always been good at pushing machines past their breaking points. "How are the crew holding up?" Okonkwo asked, standing beside him with her arms crossed. "Medical reports show elevated stress hormones, but nothing critical. Marines are drilling constantly. They want to be ready." Zhang pulled up a holographic display showing the fleet's status. "Admiral, we still do not know what we are flying into. The Vreks could have 1,000 ships for all we know." Okonkwo nodded slowly. "Then we will destroy 1,000 ships!" These beings asked for help, Zhang. "We answer that call, regardless of cost." In the lower decks, Corporal James Rodriguez cleaned his rifle for the 3rd time that day. Around him, the rest of 2nd Platoon prepared their equipment with practiced efficiency. Rodriguez was a short man, heavily muscled, with dark eyes that had seen combat in the Mars Rebellion 5 years earlier. He understood what boarding actions meant. Close quarters, no retreat, kill or be killed. "You think these aliens can fight?" asked Private Chen, a younger soldier checking her armor seals. "Does it matter?" Rodriguez replied, "We trained for this. We do our jobs." Sergeant Kamau, a tall woman from the African Alliance, walked between the rows of Marines. "Listen up. Dr. Williams wants to brief us on what we know about the Virax. Pay attention. Intelligence saves lives." Dr. Sarah Williams entered the cargo bay that had been converted into a briefing room. She was a xenobiologist, one of the few humans who had studied alien life extensively. She pulled up holographic images of the Vreks, and several Marines whistled or cursed. The Vreks were not pleasant to look at. They stood 8 feet tall, with thick armored carapaces that covered their bodies like natural battle armor. They had 6 limbs, 4 of which could function as either legs or arms. Their heads were dominated by multiple eyes and powerful mandibles that could crush bone. "They evolved on a heavy gravity world," Williams explained. "Their biology is designed for strength and durability. They are apex predators on their homeworld. But here is what you need to understand. They think they are the toughest things in the galaxy because, until now, they were right." She changed the image to show comparative biological data. Most spacefaring species evolved on what we would call paradise worlds. Low gravity, mild climates, abundant resources. They are fragile compared to us. The Vreks conquered them easily because the Vreks are naturally tough and aggressive. "And we are tougher," Kamau said with a grim smile. "Different," Williams corrected. "The Vreks are strong, but they evolved in a stable environment. Earth made us adaptable. We can survive injuries that would kill most species. We can function in environments that others find deadly. We can endure pain and keep fighting. Most importantly, we fight as units." Pack behavior. The Vreks are individuals who cooperate. Humans are a collective force. Rodriguez raised his hand. "Doc, what happens if we meet them in close combat?" Williams met his eyes. "You are stronger than you think, Corporal. Your skeleton is denser, your muscles more efficient, your pain tolerance higher. A Vrex warrior might outweigh you, but pound for pound, a human is one of the most dangerous things evolution ever produced. She paused. Just remember, they think they are the monsters. Show them they are wrong. Meanwhile, in the Kaleth system, Vrex Commander Thaxul received the sensor reports with amusement. An unknown fleet was approaching at high speed. 57 ships, primitives probably, some minor power hoping to score a political victory by rescuing survivors. Thaxul was a veteran of 30 conquests. He had personally led ground forces on 17 worlds. His carapace bore the scars of countless battles, and his rank within the Dominion was unquestioned. These newcomers would learn the price of interfering. Send Battle Group Talon to intercept, he ordered. 20 ships should be sufficient. I want survivors brought to me. I will enjoy breaking them personally. The Vrex Battle Group moved to intercept the human fleet. Their ships were massive, organic-looking vessels covered in bone-like armor plates. They had conquered the galaxy using overwhelming force and brutal efficiency. Every species they encountered either surrendered or died. Admiral Okonkwo watched the Vrex ships approach on her tactical display. She opened a communication channel, speaking in Galactic Common that her ship's computer had learned from the Kaleth distress call. Vrex vessels, this is Admiral Patricia Okonkwo of the Human Terran Fleet. You are in violation of galactic law by targeting civilian populations. Cease all hostile actions immediately and withdraw from this system, or we will remove you by force. The response came quickly, translated by the computer. Thaxul's voice was deep and resonant, filled with contempt. Humans, your species is not recognized by the Dominion. You have no authority here. Leave now or be destroyed with the others. Okonkwo smiled, though there was no humor in it. We gave you a chance. Remember that. She switched to fleet-wide communication. All ships weapons free. Target priority is enemy vessels engaging civilian or refugee craft. Show them what humans do to bullies. The Third Fleet did not form the traditional battle line that Galactic Doctrine recommended. Instead, the ships scattered, moving in what appeared to be random patterns. The Vrex commander found this confusing. What kind of tactics were these? He learned 60 seconds later. The first human railgun fired from a destroyer at maximum range. The projectile was a solid tungsten rod, accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed. The Vrex shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, had no defense against kinetic impacts. The rod punched through the shield as if it was not there, then through the hull and out the other side. The Vrex cruiser split in half, its atmosphere venting into space. Thaxul stared at his tactical display in shock. What weapon was that? Unknown, Commander. Analysis suggests solid projectile at extreme velocity. Impossible. No one uses kinetic weapons. They are primitive. They are also very effective, Commander. The battle had begun, and the Vrex were learning that sometimes primitive meant deadly. The Battle of Kaleth system became a lesson in terror for the Vrex Dominion. Human ships moved in patterns that violated every tactical doctrine known to galactic warfare. They did not maintain formation. They did not engage at safe distances. Instead, they closed like wolves surrounding prey, firing their primitive kinetic weapons with devastating accuracy. A Vrex destroyer attempted to maneuver away from 3 human frigates. The frigates split up, forcing the Vrex ship to choose which threat to face. While it turned to engage one frigate, the other 2 fired missiles. Not elegant plasma torpedoes or antimatter warheads, but simple nuclear devices wrapped in tungsten casings. The Vrex captain barely had time to register the weapons before they detonated. The electromagnetic pulse shut down half his systems. Then the kinetic impacts from the fragmented casings tore through his weakened shields. His ship died, bleeding atmosphere and bodies into the void. On the Indomitable, Commander Zhang coordinated the fleet with brutal efficiency. Destroyer Group Baker, flank that cruiser on the left. Frigate Squadron Charlie, I need suppressing fire on those fighters. Carrier Group, launch all wings. Human fighter craft streamed from the carriers like angry hornets. They were small, heavily armored, and capable of maneuvers that would have killed most alien pilots. Humans could withstand G-forces that would pulp the bodies of species evolved on gentler worlds. The pilots used this advantage mercilessly, pulling turns and accelerations that their targeting computers classified as suicidal. Commander Thaxul watched his battle group disintegrate. 5 ships destroyed, 7 damaged, and the humans showed no signs of slowing. How are these primitives doing this? All ships fall back to defensive formation, he ordered. Concentrate fire on the largest human vessel. We must eliminate their command ship. The Vrex fleet repositioned, bringing their plasma cannons to bear on the Indomitable. The heavy weapons fired, sending streams of superheated matter across the void. The human carrier's shields flared, absorbing the first wave. Then the second. The third wave punched through, scoring the hull with deep burns. Hull breach on decks 7 and 9, reported the damage control officer. Casualties reported. Admiral Okonkwo did not flinch. Seal those sections. Continue the attack. Admiral, we are taking significant damage, Zhang said. Should we withdraw to repair? Negative. Launch boarding torpedoes. Target that command ship. Zhang stared at her. Admiral, boarding actions are considered war crimes by galactic law. Too brutal. Okonkwo's eyes were cold. They killed children, Commander. They do not get to lecture us about brutality. Launch the torpedoes. 20 boarding torpedoes fired from the Indomitable's launch tubes. They were ugly things. Heavily armored cylinders with drill tips and chemical rocket engines. Each carried 20 Marines in crash harnesses packed in like ammunition. The torpedoes crashed into Thaxul's flagship at high speed. The drills activated, cutting through the Virex armor with diamond-tipped teeth. Then shaped charges blew holes in the inner hull, and the Marines stormed through. Corporal Rodriguez was in the first wave. The transition from the torpedo to the enemy ship was violent. The crash harness dug into his body as they hit. Then the explosive bolts fired, releasing him. He came up with his rifle ready, scanning for targets. The Virex corridor was larger than human standard, built for their 8-foot frames. Rodriguez's squad spread out, using hand signals to communicate. Their armor had magnetic boots, allowing them to move in any direction in the zero gravity. The first Vrex warrior came around the corner at high speed. Rodriguez fired 3 rounds center mass. The Vrex's natural armor was thick, but human military rifles fired armor-piercing rounds at velocities that physics did not care about armor. The rounds punched through and the Vrex went down thrashing. More Vrex appeared. The corridor became a killing ground. The Vrex were strong and naturally armored, but they were not prepared for humans. They fired energy weapons designed to disable, not kill, because Galactic War had rules about minimizing casualties. Humans fired weapons designed to end threats permanently. Sergeant Kamau tossed a grenade around a corner. The explosion in the enclosed space was devastating. When the smoke cleared, she led her squad forward, stepping over Vrex bodies without hesitation. But the Vrex learned quickly. They realized these invaders were dangerous. A Vrex warrior managed to grab Private Chen, lifting her with 2 of its powerful limbs. Its mandibles opened, ready to tear through her armor. Rodriguez put 5 rounds through its head. Chen dropped, gasping. Thanks, Corporal. Stay focused, Rodriguez said. We have a bridge to capture. The fighting intensified as they moved deeper into the ship. The Vrex began using their superior strength and numbers. Rodriguez took a plasma bolt to the shoulder that would have killed most beings. His armor absorbed most of it, but the heat still burned through. He felt his skin blister. The pain was intense. He kept fighting. A Vrex warrior charged him, using all 6 limbs to move at incredible speed. Rodriguez could not bring his rifle around in time. The Vrex slammed into him and they tumbled through the zero-gravity corridor. The Vrex tried to tear his helmet off. Rodriguez drew his combat knife and drove it into the gap between armor plates. They separated, both bleeding. The Vrex looked at him with what might have been surprise. This small creature had wounded it. Rodriguez raised his rifle one-handed and fired. The Vrex fell. Corporal, you are injured, Kamau said, seeing the blood. I can still fight, Rodriguez said. We finished the mission. Outside the ship, Sivara watched from her hiding place in an asteroid field. The Kaleth survivors had fled here after the station fell. They had been waiting to die. Instead, they were watching something impossible. The human ships were smaller than the Vrex vessels. They were taking damage that should have destroyed them. But they kept fighting. One human destroyer had lost half its hull to a plasma blast. It was still firing weapons, still maneuvering. How were they still operational? What are these humans? Whispered Navir beside her. I do not know, Sivara said, but they are winning. On the Vrex flagship bridge, Thaxul heard the sounds of combat getting closer. His crew was fighting room by room against the boarders. Reports were confused, filled with fear. His warriors were dying. These humans fought like demons, accepting wounds that should incapacitate them and continuing to attack. He activated his emergency transmission to Vrex High Command. This is Commander Thaxul. We have encountered a hostile species. Classification unknown. Extreme danger. They are called humans. Their world designation is Earth. Recommend immediate withdrawal from this sector. These beings are Apex Deathworlders. I repeat, Apex Death. The bridge door exploded inward. Human Marines poured through, weapons firing. Thaxuel reached for his weapon, but he was too slow. The last thing he saw was a small human female with sergeant insignia, her armor scorched and damaged, putting 3 rounds through his central torso. His transmission ended mid-word. The Vrex flagship went dark. The surviving Vrex ships fled in disorder. The Third Fleet let them go. They had other priorities now. Medical teams were deployed to the Kaleth survivors. Engineers began searching for more refugees in the debris field. Admiral Okonkwo stood on her bridge, watching the tactical display clear of hostile contacts. They had won. But the victory felt heavy. 53 crew members dead, 147 injured, 3 ships severely damaged. Zhang approached her. Admiral, we are receiving transmissions from the Kaleth survivors. They want to thank us, Okonkwo nodded. Arrange a meeting. And Zhang? Make sure our people know they did well today. They saved lives. That matters. In the medical bay, Rodriguez sat while a medic treated his burns. The pain was manageable now that the adrenaline was fading. He felt tired. He felt old. Private Chen sat beside him, her armor removed. Corporal, do you think this is over? Rodriguez looked at her with eyes that had seen too much war. No, Chen, this is just the beginning. The meeting took place on a Kaleth refugee ship 3 days after the battle. Admiral Okonkwo arrived with a small security detail and Dr. Williams, who would serve as translator and cultural advisor. The Kaleth had prepared a formal reception chamber, but most of their elegant decorations had been destroyed in the evacuation. Sivara waited nervously. She had seen the humans fight. She had watched them tear through Vrex ships with methodical violence. Now she would meet them face to face. Part of her was terrified. Another part was desperately hopeful. When the airlock opened, Sivara got her first look at humans in person. Admiral Okonkwo was tall for her species, though shorter than most Kaleth. She walked with confidence, her movements controlled and efficient. What struck Sivara most were the eyes. They faced forward like a predator's, designed for hunting and tracking prey. When Okonkwo smiled, Sivara could see her teeth. White, sharp canines, a threat display. Council Leader Sivara, Okonkwo said through the translator device. Thank you for meeting with us. How are your people? Sivara had to remind herself that these beings had just saved her entire civilization. We are alive because of you, Admiral. 17,000 Kaleth survived. Without your intervention, we would all be dead. I am sorry we could not arrive sooner, Okonkwo said, and Sivara was surprised to hear genuine regret in her voice. We came as fast as we could. They sat at a low table. The gravity in the Kaleth ship was set to 0.7 Earth standard, comfortable for the Kaleth. Sivara noticed that the humans showed no signs of discomfort, despite the reduced gravity. Dr. Williams had explained that humans evolved on a heavy gravity world. This gentle environment must feel light to them. I must ask, Sivara said carefully. What is Earth like? What kind of world produces warriors like you? Dr. Williams glanced at Admiral Okonkwo, who nodded. The scientist pulled up a holographic display showing Earth. Our homeworld is classified as a Class 12 death world in the Galactic database. High gravity, extreme weather, active tectonics, and abundant megafauna. Life on Earth is a constant struggle. Sivara watched images of Earth's ecosystems, massive predators hunting in packs, prey animals that could run for hours without stopping, weather systems that could flatten cities, geological activity that reshaped continents. It looked like hell. How does anything survive there? Navar asked, horrified. By adapting, Okonkwo said. By becoming tougher, faster, smarter. By working together. Humans are pack hunters, council leader. We evolved to cooperate in dangerous environments. That is our greatest strength. And your greatest danger, Sivara said quietly. You are predators. Yes, Okonkwo admitted. But we choose what we hunt. The Vrex prey on the weak. We hunt those who hurt the innocent. There is a difference. Over the next several hours, they shared information. Sivara explained the structure of galactic civilization. 347 spacefaring species, most of them peaceful traders and explorers. The Vrex Dominion controlled 18% of known space, having conquered 43 civilizations in the past century. No one had been able to stop them, because war was alien to most species. They did not think in terms of absolute victory or total defeat. We send formal protests, Severa explained. We impose trade sanctions. We appeal to galactic law. The Vrex ignore all of it. They are stronger than any individual species, and we cannot unite against them because we are too afraid. That changes now, Okonkwo said. The Vrex know about humans. They will come for Earth. Severa felt her stomach drop. Admiral, I did not mean to bring war to your people. You did not start this war, Okonkwo said firmly. The Vrex did when they decided to kill children. We are just finishing it. The words sent chills through Severa. These humans spoke of war with such certainty, such confidence. They had fought one battle and were already planning for the next. This was what it meant to be a Deathworlder. Violence was not foreign to them. It was just another tool they had mastered. News of the battle spread through quantum communication networks. Within a week, every spacefaring civilization knew about the humans. The reactions varied. Some species were hopeful, others were terrified. The Galactic Council, a loose organization that pretended to govern galactic affairs, remained silent. They did not know how to categorize these newcomers. The Vrex Dominion, however, had a clear response. Empress Vexara, supreme ruler of the Vrex, watched the recovered data from Thaxul's last transmission. She saw her warriors being killed by smaller beings. She saw her ships destroyed by primitive weapons. She felt something she had not experienced in decades. Rage. Mobilize the Third War Fleet, she ordered. 500 ships. I want this human homeworld found and burned. No survivors. Make them an example. On Earth, the response was more measured but equally determined. The United Nations convened emergency sessions. The Third Fleet's victory had been broadcast globally. Humanity had met hostile aliens and won, but everyone understood this was not over. The Vrex will retaliate, said General Martinez of the South American Confederation. We need to prepare for a major attack. Agreed, said Admiral Okonkwo via holographic transmission from the Kaleth system. But we cannot wait for them to come to us. We need to take the fight to them. You want to invade Vrex space? Someone asked incredulously. I want to cripple their ability to wage war, Okonkwo said. We mobilize the First and Second Fleets. We strike their shipyards, their supply lines, their command structure. We show them that attacking Earth has consequences. The debate lasted hours, but the conclusion was inevitable. Humanity had tasted galactic war and they would not back down. The First and Second Fleets began mobilization. Across Earth's solar system, shipyards worked around the clock building new vessels and repairing damaged ones. In the medical bay of the Indomitable, Corporal Rodriguez sat with a young Kaleth named Thera. She was a child, no more than 8 in human years, who had lost her parents when the Vrex destroyed their transport. Dr. Williams had asked Rodriguez to spend time with the rescued younglings, helping them cope with trauma. Rodriguez was not good with children, but he tried. He showed Thera pictures of Earth, pointing out mountains and oceans. She seemed fascinated and frightened in equal measure. Your world looks scary, Thera said in halting English. The translator helped, but she was learning to speak without it. It can be, Rodriguez admitted, but it is also beautiful, and it made us strong enough to help you. Why did you help us? Thera asked. We are not your people. Rodriguez thought about that. He remembered the footage of the Morning Hope exploding. 6,000 children just like Thera dying in seconds. He remembered the rage he had felt, the need to do something. Because it was the right thing to do, he said finally. Because we could. Because someone had to. Thera looked at him with her large, dark eyes. Are humans always this brave? Rodriguez laughed, but there was no humor in it. No, we are scared most of the time. But we fight anyway. That is what courage is, being afraid and doing what needs to be done. Will the Vrex come back? Thera asked quietly. Probably, Rodriguez said honestly. But if they do, we will be ready. And Thera, I promise you something. We will not let them hurt you again. Humans protect our pack, and you are part of our pack now. Thera did not fully understand the concept of pack mentality, but she understood protection. She leaned against Rodriguez, this strange warrior from a death world, and for the first time since her parents died, she felt safe. Across the Kaleth refugee fleet, similar scenes played out. Human medical teams treated the wounded with surprising gentleness. Engineers helped repair damaged ships. Marines stood guard, ensuring no threats approached. The Kaleth began to understand something important about humans. Yes, they were terrifying warriors, but they were also capable of great kindness. Admiral Okonkwo stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, looking at the tactical display. The first and second fleets would arrive in 2 weeks. Then they would take the war to the Vrek's homeworld. It was a risky strategy. They would be outnumbered. Many humans would die, but some things were worth fighting for. Some lines could not be crossed without consequence. The Vreks had learned that lesson. Now they would learn the full extent of human determination. Commander Zhang, Okonkwo said, "Prepare the fleet for deep space transit. We have a war to win." The 3 human fleets converged on the Vrek's homeworld system like a storm. 163 ships representing every nation on Earth, carrying the full weight of humanity's industrial might and military expertise. Admiral Okonkwo stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the red sun of Rex Prime grow larger on the view screen. "Sensor report," she ordered. Commander Zhang studied his displays with a grim expression. "Admiral, we count 547 Vrex vessels. They have fortified the system with orbital defense platforms, minefields, and fighter stations. They are ready for us." "Good," Okonkwo said. "Let them see us coming. Open a wideband transmission to the Vrex government." The communication went out across every frequency. Empress Vexara herself received it in her throne room on Vrex Prime. She watched the holographic image of the human admiral with contempt and, buried deep, a sliver of fear. "Vrex Dominion," Okonkwo said. "You have committed acts of genocide against peaceful civilizations. You have targeted children. You have spread terror across dozens of star systems. This ends now. Surrender your military assets and stand down, or we will dismantle them by force." "You have 1 hour to respond." Vexara's response was immediate. "You dare threaten us? We are the Vrex Dominion. We have conquered the galaxy. You are insects, primitives who do not understand the power you face. We will crush your fleet, then we will find your homeworld and burn it to ash. No human will survive." Okonkwo listened to the translation without expression. She had expected this. The Vrex did not understand surrender. They only understood strength and weakness. She would have to teach them. "All ships," she broadcast to the human fleet. "The Vrex Empress has rejected our terms. Weapons free. Target their military infrastructure. Avoid civilian populations where possible. Let us show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity." The largest space battle in galactic history began. The Vrex fleet moved forward in a traditional wall formation, hundreds of ships presenting a unified front, their plasma cannons charged, ready to sweep the humans from space with overwhelming firepower. It was a proven tactic that had worked against every species they had encountered. Humans did not follow proven tactics. The human fleet split into 23 combat groups, each operating independently but coordinating through quantum communication. They did not meet the Vrex wall head-on. Instead, they flanked, scattered, and forced the Vrex to divide their attention. The first nuclear missiles launched from human cruisers. The Vrex point defense systems activated, shooting down many of the primitive weapons, but the missiles were just the opening move. While the Vrex focused on the obvious threat, human destroyers used micro-FTL jumps to appear behind the Vrex formation. Commander Zhang had described it as a knife fight in a phone booth. The humans closed to point-blank range, where their kinetic weapons were most effective. Railgun slugs tore through Vrex shields and armor. Laser batteries carved burning lines across hull plating. Human ships took terrible damage in return, but they kept fighting. A human frigate, the Defiant, had its engine section blown completely off. It should have been dead in space. Instead, the captain used emergency thrusters to ram his dying ship into a Vrex heavy cruiser. Both vessels exploded in a ball of fire. On Vrex Prime, civilians watched the battle in their skies with growing horror. No one had ever attacked their homeworld. It was unthinkable. They were the conquerors, not the conquered. Yet here were these humans, fighting with a ferocity that defied logic. Sergeant Kamau led a boarding action on a Vrex orbital defense platform. Her Marines moved through the station like they had trained for this their entire lives. The Vrex defenders fought hard, but they were defending fixed positions. Humans excelled at assault operations. "Charges set on the reactor core," reported one of her team. "Everyone out," Kamau ordered. 30 seconds. They evacuated through their boarding torpedo, detaching just as the platform exploded. Another Vrex defensive position eliminated, but the cost was mounting. Human ships were being destroyed. The casualty reports came in waves. The carrier Valiant lost with all hands. The destroyer Resolute crippled. The frigate Darwin missing. Admiral Okonkwo watched the tactical display, her face like carved stone. Each lost ship was a dagger in her heart. But they were winning. Slowly, painfully, they were breaking the Vrex defense. Commander Zhang pulled up a priority report. Admiral, the Vrex command ship is maneuvering to a new position. It is attempting to withdraw from the battle. Target it, Okonkwo ordered. All available ships. If we take out their command structure, their coordination will collapse. Human doctrine emphasized decentralized command. Every captain could operate independently if needed. The Vrex relied on rigid hierarchy and central control. It was a fundamental difference in military philosophy. Humans had learned through centuries of warfare that flexibility won battles. The Vrex had never needed to learn that lesson, until now. 6 human destroyers concentrated their fire on the Vrex command ship. The massive vessel's shields flared, absorbed incredible punishment but eventually failed. Kinetic rounds punched through the hull. The command ship went dark, its systems failing. Without central coordination, the Vrex fleet began to falter. Individual ships fought bravely, but they did not know how to adapt. They had never needed to improvise before. Corporal Rodriguez, back in action despite his injuries, led his squad through another Vrex ship. He moved with mechanical efficiency now, his body operating on training and muscle memory. He was tired. They were all tired. But the mission was not complete. They reached the Vrex ship's bridge. The crew surrendered, dropping their weapons. It was the first time Rodriguez had seen Vrex give up. They looked beaten, their natural armor scorched and cracked, their eyes showing something that looked like fear. Secure them, he ordered. Medical teams will treat their wounded. We are not like the Vrex. We do not kill prisoners. Private Chen looked at him. Corporal, after everything they have done, you still want to help them? Rodriguez looked at the defeated Vrex warriors. We fight when we must, but we do not become monsters. That is what makes us different. In her throne room, Empress Vexara watched her fleet being systematically destroyed. Reports came in of ships surrendering, stations captured, defensive positions neutralized. These humans were not just winning. They were demonstrating complete tactical superiority. But what terrified her most was what they were not doing. They were not bombarding her planet. They were not targeting civilian areas. They had the power to kill billions of Vrex, and they were choosing not to use it. These beings fought with precision and restraint. They were killing her military, but they were sparing her people. It was a level of civilized warfare she had never imagined. The Vrex conquered through total war, breaking civilizations completely. The humans were fighting a war of calculated violence, targeting only military assets. She realized in that moment that she had made a terrible mistake. The Vrex had assumed these Deathworlders would be like them, violent and uncontrollable. Instead, they were worse. They were disciplined. They were purposeful. They were demonstrating that strength and morality were not mutually exclusive. Send a transmission to the human admiral, Vexara ordered, her voice heavy with defeat. We surrender, unconditionally. The message reached Okonkwo as her fleet prepared for the final assault. She read it twice, barely believing it. Then she broadcast to all human ships. Ceasefire. I repeat, ceasefire. The Vrex have surrendered. All ships maintain defensive positions but do not engage unless fired upon. The battle ended as abruptly as it had begun. The surviving Vrex ships powered down their weapons. Human medical teams immediately began providing aid, even to their former enemies. It was the human way. Fight hard but show mercy when the fighting ended. 2 weeks later, the Galactic Council finally convened on the neutral station of Unity Prime. Representatives from 347 species filled the assembly chamber. They had all come to see the humans, these Deathworlders who had accomplished what no one else could. Council leader Sevara stood at the podium, recovered from her ordeal. The Vrex Dominion terrorized the galaxy for a century. 43 civilizations fell to their conquest. Billions died. We all knew it was happening. We all did nothing because we were afraid. She paused, looking directly at the human delegation. Then one species heard our call for help. They came from the edge of galactic space. They asked for no payment. They expected no reward. They came because it was right. She gestured to Admiral Okonkwo. The humans fought not for conquest but for justice. They had the power to destroy the Vrex completely, but they showed restraint. They demonstrated that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to show mercy. The Council offered humanity a permanent seat and the role of galactic peacekeepers. Admiral Okonkwo accepted with a warning. "We are not your attack dogs," she said firmly. "We are not mercenaries. But if you threaten the innocent, if you prey on the weak, you will learn why Earth is called a death world. We have the capacity for great violence. We choose to use it only against those who deserve it." 6 months later, Corporal Rodriguez stood in a classroom on Unity Station. Around him sat younglings from a dozen species, including Thera, the Kaleth child he had befriended. They were learning about Earth and human culture. "Corporal Rodriguez," Thera raised her hand. "Some of the other species say humans are monsters. Are we wrong to trust you?" Rodriguez thought carefully about his answer. "Humans can be monsters, Thera. Our history is full of terrible things we did to each other. We fought wars that killed millions. We created weapons that could destroy our whole planet. We have the capacity for great evil." He paused. "But we also have the capacity for great good. We choose every day to be better than our worst instincts. That is what makes us human." Another youngling, a small reptilian child, asked nervously, "Will you always protect us?" Rodriguez smiled gently. "Yes, because you are part of our pack now. And humans protect their pack. Always." Outside the station, human ships patrolled the spaceways. The Vrex had been contained, their military dismantled, but their people allowed to live. Other aggressive species had taken note. The galaxy had new guardians, and they did not take kindly to bullies. Earth had joined galactic civilization not as conquerors, but as protectors. They had proven that strength and compassion could coexist. They had shown that Deathworlders could be heroes. And across 347 star systems, species that had lived in fear for generations could finally sleep peacefully. Because somewhere out there watching over them were the humans, the terrifying, gentle, deadly, compassionate beings from the death world called Earth. The Vrex had learned the lesson. The galaxy remembered it. Never threaten the innocent while humans are watching, because humanity takes things like that very personally.